Eala has beaten Victoria Tomova 6-3, 6-2 in the opening round in Madrid to set up a mouth-watering clash, a rematch with Iga Swiatek. I say a rematch, of course, because they played recently in Miami with Eala stunning the world number 2 in straight sets. Regarding today's win for Alex, she got off to a fine start in so many respects, winning the first 6 points with some first strike tennis, seemingly overwhelming her Bulgarian opponent. However, she did ultimately go on to lose her serve 3 times. Now, Alex's serve is something that we know can be vulnerable, even more so on clay, although she might be aided and abetted a little bit by the high altitude and a bit more pop off that otherwise underpunched, underpowered serve that she has. But in the end, she had far too much for Tomova. Tomova is, I don't think she's best suited to this surface, to be honest with you. Had a great run on the grass in Bad Homburg last year. I know she has been in the final of the W125 in Valencia also last year on the clay, but ultimately she also says that her favourite surface is the hard court. And listen, Alex had too much for her today. Now, Now, I still maintain that Alex's best surface will always probably be the hard court. She even told me that herself last week in Portugal. Where are we at with your game and your preference? Clay, grass, hard? What's your sort of preferred condition?
Um, I prefer hard court. It's the one I grew up in, and I think my game naturally is more suited to that. But I've been, of course, I've been playing on clay for a long time as well. It's true that the clay season is shorter, much shorter than the hard season, but I love clay, and I'm just trying to get it to love me back.
Good.
When she went on that run, it was really impressive how she handled the big moments on the stadium court.
Of course, all eyes will turn to Thursday and the match, which will almost certainly be on Manila Santana, the biggest stadium in Madrid, and that upcoming clash with Iga Swiatek.
Think about how much pressure's on Swiatek in terms of not having won a title since the French Open, not even having been in a final at all in 2025. And then obviously, her last match with Ostapenko, dealing with not only difficulty on court, but, mentally dealing with that matchup. And now you've got Alex Eala coming in to Madrid with the wind under her belt and the pressure of Swiatek trying to defend all of her points, not only in Madrid, but in Rome, in the French Open.
For me, this clash is as much about the mind as it is what happens on the court, particularly when it comes to Iga, having gone through that sort of barren spell and not making singles finals for almost a year. And then throw in a few losses, including one to Alex as well. So if Iga can overcome that mental hurdle, I do see things looking pretty good for the pole. Just sort of winding back to Iga, I think there's a couple of sort of bigger picture things to think about. One is she's not been in a final. Okay, there was the United Cup finals, the team event, and she did get to the last stage there. But as a singles, tournament, she hasn't been in a final since the French Open, which if you'd have said to us after she beat Paolini in that French Open final last year, she's not going to be in a final for another year, including the beginning of the clay court season, I think we'd have found that very difficult to believe. And of course, she has a new coach as well. Wim Fissette came on board at the back end of last year, and I think that was with the hope of not maintaining the clay level, but also upping the level at other tournaments and other surfaces and other conditions. And yet we are in this period right now of because again, her standards are so high. For 98% of the tour, Iga's season will be phenomenal. But I'm sure if I said to Iga and she gave me a frank answer, are you happy with, 2025 thus far? It would have to be no, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, to be in mid-April and not to have won a tournament and not to have won a tournament, as you mentioned, after she won Roland Garros.
Mm-hmm.
To me, she, instead of feeling more settled, to me, she looks less settled on the
Yeah.
court against more opponents, gets more anxious. And I don't know Iga that well, but just from the eyeball tests since being around women's tennis since '78, something feels a little not quite right for Iga right now.
Mm.
And these are things that only the camp can figure out. And you mentioned the coaching transition. That's never easy. Somebody who in Iga who really likes the continuity hasn't had that many changes, but had a few. So yeah, I'd be a little concerned. But let's face it, if she goes on and wins another Roland Garros, we'll be having a different conversation towards in the middle of June.
Pam, when you change coaches, do you sort of, said maybe you've had you had a coach for a long time and things are going well, but there's a few bumps in the road, and that's okay because you had good times before, you trust them and blah, blah, blah. And the advice that they give you for tennis matches, you follow. When you get a new coach, is there there's a lack of trust at the beginning? I mean, you've obviously hired them because of their CV and what they've done. And Wim Fissette's CV is pretty glittering, albeit he does tend to have short-lived spells with players. But do is there also a lack of trust in that? Because you need some good results and you need something pretty quickly. I'm just wondering if there's anything there.
Well, think about the expectations of this partnership, giving given Wim's success over a long time with so many different players, and Iga expecting to maintain her results and her standards of the previous few years, it's a lot of pressure on a partnership, a coaching player partnership. And it's not just the player who feels the pressure, it's the team, to carry on from, the previous couple of years. So, I don't, I think if it wasn't working, if the chemistry wasn't right, we would already know that. I don't think that's the case. I do think it can take time. It can even take a full cycle of playing the tour for the year to kind of fall totally into a comfort zone. But we do know that continuity matters, and that having coaching player partnerships that last multiple years usually is a benefit. And we'll just have to see how this plays out. But you're right. Wim's had a lot of transitions. He's had a lot of different players he's worked with. But someone like Iga is about the ultimate you can get as far
Mm-hmm.
who does she play second round? It would be
Yeah.
Swiatek, who has that bye.
Yeah.
So I love this in women's tennis right now, where you get like a compelling matchup, maybe a month after the first one.
As we look into this matchup with Eala, you think about what happened in Miami in terms of extremely high unforced error count for Swiatek, very uncharacteristic for her, and then also her lack of serving ability. And Eala was able to attack that second serve and get herself out on the front foot and dictate in those rallies. She played super aggressive, and that was kind of a risk-reward type of tennis that she needed to play on that type of court, and it worked out well for her. But as we look into this matchup on the clay, it's a little bit different in terms of Swiatek having the ability to build rhythm in terms of point construction, but then also using her extremely high and heavy spins to her advantage. She creates so many RPMs off that forehand wing, and in Madrid, it's obviously at altitude, but it's also a high bouncing clay court. And so with her ability to, get a lot of depth, a lot of spin, and try and put these balls out of the Eala strike zone will definitely be key for her. And then kind of, using her movement and, fitness ability to her advantage in terms of, outlasting Eala in those prolonged rallies and taking her opportunities when they come.
If Iga could choose where to have that rematch, she would certainly have it on clay. Maybe she wouldn't necessarily choose Madrid, but it is what it is. It is an opening clash, of course. Iga, her form is sketchy by her extremely high standards, not been in a final since the French Open of last year. She's also coming off another loss to Yelena Ostapenko. Of course, Ostapenko could be a potential fourth round opponent for both players, having appeared in the same section. But this is clay. It's still much more suited to Iga than it is Eala, even if, like I say, Madrid might not be Iga's necessarily her stomping ground, although she is the defending champion. Her form, though, Iga is, by her phenomenal stance. She couldn't wait for the clay season to get underway, and yet who did she find in top form in Stuttgart? Her foe, her nemesis, Yelena Ostapenko, who beat her for the 6th time in a row. However, the question, of course, is, will Alex Eala beat Iga Swiatek for a second time in a row? That match still, by the way, in Miami, could easily have gone to a third set. Alex there striking right at the end to get that done. I do see a slightly different match in Madrid, where I think the movement of Iga is just going to be far, far, far too much for Eala on the clay surface. And I do see Iga getting this done in straight sets.
Hey everybody, this is Zach, the host of the Triangle Tennis Podcast, making a prediction today for Eala versus Swiatek, and I'm going to get a little bit wacky with it and say the number 2 player in the world is going to win in straight sets against the number 70-something ranked player. Iga is out for revenge after their meeting in Miami and is going to get it, and while it might be a fun match, it won't be a particularly close match.
I think the first few games are going to be important for Swiatek in terms of getting out on that front foot, but overall, I think it should be a fairly straightforward win, and Swiatek advances the next round in straight sets.
If you enjoyed this video...
Ready? Play.
Alex Eala, okay? Of course, her run in Miami in particular has caught the caught the tennis world in many respects by storm, and particularly because she's from a part of the world with a huge population and clearly a huge interest in tennis, albeit not a great pedigree in terms of Filipino players, making it. Her run also in Miami, shocked everyone. With every single win, it was like, oh my goodness me, she's beaten, Madison Keys, but she's not going to beat, of course, Iga Swiatek. And what does she do? She goes and beats Iga Swiatek. I think even before that, she played Ostapenko and beat Ostapenko too, and very, very close match with Pegula and the emotion there. She's now going to be playing in Madrid. Clay is certainly nowhere near her best surface, certainly compared to hard, as she actually told me last week in an interview. What did you make of her run in Miami and her as a player?
Yeah, I thought it was really fascinating. She uses her leftiness really well. When she went on that run, it was really impressive how she handled the big moments on the stadium court. What's interesting about her draw in Madrid is if she beats Tomova, who does she play second round? It would be Swiatek, who has that bye. So I love this in women's tennis right now, where you get like a compelling matchup, maybe a month after the first one, they could play again. But I also like how tennis, the last couple of decades, you get countries that wouldn't even be mentioned as a tennis country. You can hardly even remember a player from the Philippines. And then you all of a sudden get this talent. I like the story, the connection with Rafa Nadal and his academy. She's a lefty. A couple of times when she produced some forehands, I'm like, whew.
Yeah.
I see. It's tough to compare anybody's forehand to Nadal, but she's a great story.
She's a great story. I don't think that she'll probably have quite as many Roland Garroses in her locker as Rafa did come the end of her career, but I'm very much looking forward to seeing how she gets on. I have been made to eat my words many times regarding tennis predictions, but also regarding even Eala in Miami, with just thinking, okay, that was a great win, but I'm feeling the same in Madrid, just because I saw her on the clay last week in the WTA 125, and I just thought, okay, yeah, it's gonna be a few more years, I think, perhaps. But she's a quick learner and she's smart, and we'll see how that pans out. If you enjoy.
My name is Clara Towson, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
I am Francisca George, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Susan Leemans, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom. Yeah.
My name is Zainab Sammaz, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hey guys, my name is Sasha Vickery, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hi, my name is Lloyd Harris, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Jan Faria, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Yes.
Take one. Well done.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Paulini, and I'm a friend of the show.
Wow, Jasmine, you got it in one time.
Ready? Play.
And hello, Talking Tennis community. Carson and Brenner, thank you all for joining. And we've got a good one today with Iga Swiatek taking on Alex Eala. Brenner, tell us a little bit about what you're expecting in this match today.
I mean, it should be a good one. I think there should be, some good points. I talked a little bit about the preview, how important the first few games are going to be, especially for Iga. I talked about kind of the pressure coming in, and Eala already having a win, a little bit more familiar with the conditions in a sense. But Iga lost this match in Miami about a month ago, so I'm sure there's a lot going through her head. So she's going to have to start quick and early, but hopefully get into some patterns of play where she's getting Eala on the move and just like able to dictate like Iga would on clay.
Carson, do you think that Eala is the best lefty prospect to come out of Mallorca since when?
Since, I don't know, maybe approximately 20 some years ago. She's I'm not maybe there are others who have come out that I'm missing since Rafa and I fell, obviously, but she's fun to watch. I'm not sure that this match will necessarily reflect their matchup in Miami from a month and a half ago. It was, I think, Iga is going to come out motivated to do quite well here. But I think this is going to be a fun match to watch.
I'm gonna be boring. I think that Iga is about to roll today. She's fresh. She's on her best surface. She's out for revenge. That being said, when you've got a prospect as young and talented as Eala, anything could happen. You know, this might be the year that she's making the leap. She's already gotten some huge wins, and so looking forward to seeing how it all plays out. I want to make sure to highlight there was some very snazzy talking tennis gear on the screen a moment ago. And I'm curious, just to shamelessly merch hawk here, is there any piece of the gear that jumps out to y'all? Because for me, that tote bag looks real handy.
Oh, tote bag looks great. I like that black tee. That looks amazing.
Yeah. Brenner, is there an item that speaks to you? The hoodie, maybe.
How about a hoodie works. How about a notebook? Gotta get your notes down. Why not? It's a tennis notebook. I'll start it.
that actually is a great question. Do you all, when you play, do you take notes on your performance and your opponent? I know some players do, some don't.
I'll do it. I'll just like write some things on my note app, like afterwards.
Yeah. What do we think that Iga wrote in her notebook, assuming she has one after that last match? Like what are the big differences she's going to try and make today?
Making more serves.
Yeah.
And obviously, like I said, I think, you know, she was spraying a lot in that match, you know, getting jittery, even with the lead. So I think just, you know, trying to play more tennis.
I'm looking at the chat, and Ghost of Garolitis is here, one of our favorite commentators, and yeah, I think it is possible that there is maybe a touch of "Dear God, save me" after that last match. I don't know. Iga's having a weird year. I mean, she's of course, you know, multi-time major winner, especially on clay. You know, she's so talented, but it really does not feel like she's bringing her A game consistently to me. Just a little bit more variability in her performance. And I think that goes back to Brenner, your point. She's got to be firing on that serve. It's just, look, it's really, really hard to win at a high level if that serve isn't hitting. And I know she made that small technique adjustment to try and add pace a little while back. And it does not seem that it has paid off yet. Maybe it'll start to click. Hey, maybe today's the day. But I think that Iga is maybe in for a bit of a long season, because it's always hard to make those adjustments.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we can even talk about it with Carlos, because he's going through the same thing in terms of trying a little bit of a different technical motion. And when you get into those tight moments, it's like, I guess it's habitual in a sense to go back to how it felt before you made the changes. So, you know, it comes with confidence and form, but trying to nail that down is important.
Absolutely. I also think, look, at the end of the day, you know, Carlos and Iga are very similar in that they are very, very young. Iga is 23, Carlos is 21. And look, they have a bunch of non-tennis obligations now. They've got sponsors, they've got events, they've got all these things that don't involve hitting a tennis ball better than your opponent, that the number 73 player in the world might not have to deal with, right? And so not only do they have to manage their performance on the court, they have new responsibilities. You know, I'm sure they've got lawyers and accountants and, you know, new team members and all these things to integrate. And that's one of the challenges to being a professional tennis player. It's especially at those highest levels. It's not just about the tennis. It's about finding that balance. And I think, you know, when we see performance dip, we don't always just accept what might be the easiest answer, which is, hey, got a lot going on. There's a lot going on in the world of Iga. There's a lot going on in the world of Carlos, but I do hope that we get to see her A game today. And just want to quickly say to the chat, thanks so much for joining us. This might very well be the most watched talking tennis stream of all time. That's a very special moment for us. And so please be engaged, ask questions, weigh in with comments, concerns, suggestions, as we are about to get underway with Iga serving. Here we go, boys.
Here we go. Monumental moment. Happy to be a part of it.
And Iga with the backhand in the net to start the match. Is it a blip or a sign of things to come?
All right, you're a full like 10 seconds ahead.
I'm gonna do the old Pazaruski,
Yeah.
and do the mental count, and back in on my stream. Are you all on point number 2?
Yep, serving right now.
Iga in the motion serves. Beautiful.
Oh yeah, textbook.
Nice forehand winner.
Absolutely textbook. I think I fancy myself a bit of a kit doctor when I'm on these streams, and so always going to have to weigh in on that. While On has a fantastic material and like from a comfort perspective, just an excellent brand. Is that really the best that they could do with the Iga's kit? That is such a boring kit. I somebody got paid a lot of money. Like, what if we did a black skirt and a white t-shirt and a white shirt? What do we think? Like, that's crazy. They did focus groups on this. They did brand testing, and that's what they came up with.
I know, and it has the Infosys on there as well. I will credit On for their French Open kit.
Yep.
And their Australian Open kit. I mean, it was kind of like a one-off. It was like a different little style, but yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple. So I think they got something cooking for us.
But there is
3 weeks time
a terrible colored hat with it as well. Is that? It's a yellow with a little bit of phlegm and a little bit of neon in the color palette there. An off mustard. Thank you, Ghost, for agreeing. I have not gotten a good glimpse at Eala's kit yet. And let's see. I can't imagine it's any more boring than the On kit that they put together at 30 all with Iga serving. And we've got a second serve at 30 all. Not where Iga wants to be. Big backhand return. Oh, and Iga just missed it. And we have our first break point of the match with the Eala looking to capitalize. Oh, my God. So John says in the chat, it's happening again. Is it happening again? Like, I got work today. I thought this was going to be a fast one. I don't know. Like, is this going to be a 2.5 hour, 3-set marathon or what?
Let's see. I mean, let's check out the serve. Good serve up the tee.
It's early break.
And there it goes. Wow. Okay. I think, Brenner, I think you said that it's really important for Iga to get off to a hot start here. And your prediction, well, alas, not the hottest of starts. Carson, I mean, how nervous are you if you're in Iga's box right now? Are you? Is it early enough that you're like, hey, it's still early, or is this a kind of a shocking moment for you?
I'm not sure one game in is necessarily the place to hit the panic button. I mean, it's the first match he's played in a week at this point. So, I mean, that's the first game of tennis against, obviously, I'm sure there have been practice sets, but I'm not hitting the panic button quite yet if I'm in her box.
They famously say it's not a break until you hold. And so, if Iga can get this break back, no harm, no foul. If she goes down 2-love, obviously not ideal. Let's see if she can put a little bit of pressure on the lefty here. Ooh, she lined that backhand up nicely, but just sprayed it a little bit. They do say, though, if you're going to miss, you want to miss long and short, not wide. And by that metric, a good miss on Eala's part. Ghost says, Carson, that you're wrong and that it's time not to press the panic button, but to mash it. Iga looks a little tight on some of these shots, spraying it a little bit, some targeting issues.
Yeah, she needs to remember she's not playing Ostapenko, and
Yeah.
that she needs to just get into some rallies.
You know, one of the other kind of pieces of early analysis, Brenner, that they gave was that it's a pretty high bouncing surface.
Mhm.
Do we think that favors either player particularly? Do you think it's going to impact them equally?
Yeah, I talked about how this should, if anything, helps Iga in terms of just creating. She creates a lot of RPMs, especially off the forehand wing. And Eala, I don't know what her size is, but obviously it's going to try and bounce out of her strike zone. So that's kind of my thinking.
It looks just on the eye test like they're similar heights. I think maybe Eala's 5'8" and Iga's 5'9".
Yeah, sounds about right.
And I think that's a Nike kit. It's not super jazzy on Eala, but like it's a nice clean kit. It's a great spring color palette. There's a little bit of texture to it. A much better effort, in my opinion, than that on kit that Iga's sporting.
Totally.
Here we go at 30-15. Second serve for Eala. Look at that slice on that serve. Iga with a big forehand winner there. I think a little bit of an exclamation point on that shot.
Really set up by her return. That serve rolled in pretty slowly.
Yeah.
She was just able to hit that return really deep with a lot of pace, get on the offensive really early.
It seems like
Eala doesn't really have a serve. So, I mean, it's just, that's why it's crazy that she went so far in Miami with the serve you guys are going to continue to see throughout today. So,
yeah,
just like plenty of opportunities for Iga to jump on it.
It's one of those little things where it's just a touch easier to get away with as a lefty. And if she was a righty, I think, it's not a strong point for her as is, but it would be a real liability if she was a righty. Welcome to the chat, Ozon. It's always a beautiful day in North Carolina as Eala serves at 40-30 to go up to love. And Iga with a big backhand winner. Okay. Is Iga over swinging just a touch? Am I crazy? I mean, I know that she's hitting on some of them, but
it just looks that way because the serve is so slow. She's having to generate all the pace. But yeah,
I mean, it does feel. This is her first clay match of the season. Yeah.
She lost to Ostapenko. She played in Stuttgart.
That's right. So it does feel like she's adjusting to the pacing of clay a touch. Although break point here. To even things out and get us back on serve. Let's see how Eala responds. What is Oshi hydration? Something to ponder.
Is that the other little sponsor on the?
Yeah. I actually didn't know that you could do two of those. I thought you just typically had one and like it offends my sense of symmetry in addition to it being a completely mid kit.
Good terminology.
I'm very hip, Brenner.
My guy. All right. Great point.
Ooh, nice ball from Eala there.
Like, that's so impressive.
So as we enter the deuce point, we've got some questions that we're queuing up for the changeover. But this is a intense second game. Brenna, you weren't kidding about that serve from Eala. She's got to do something about that if she wants to,
Yeah, I know. That's why, like you said, I actually like that lefty point.
Yeah.
I mean, if she can like really get it on like the corner of the box, okay, like you have some angle and spin to it, but that's where it plays with you a bit mentally on the return side where you're like, how big do I go on this? I have, my eyes are lighting up.
Yeah. Carson, what are you seeing out there in this game?
Maybe a little bit of nerves early on. Also, we're watching a player that clay is probably not going to be her best surface, like realistically.
Yeah.
So Yeah, I think obviously, we've already commented on the pace of the serve a little bit. That's going to be a problem throughout this match. That's not something you just magically fix.
Yeah.
In 60 minutes or so. That's a lot of coaching that needs to happen.
Even the great Patrick Mouratoglou couldn't fix it in 60 minutes.
No, but she's not tapped out the potential in it at all. She can absolutely add to her game, but like that serve at 127 kilometers an hour, like that's probably not enough most of the time.
Yeah, with respect, there are recreational players serving 127 kilometers an hour, and you won't catch them on a court with Iga. That being said, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. 2-love, Eala. Okay. The youngster off to a hot start, battling, getting it done. Iga a little nervous. Eala is not scared of the moment. And as we're now at the start of this next game, we've got a question for for Brenner that will also extend to Carson. Brenner, if you had free tickets to attend one European tournament this year, 2025, which one would you go to?
I love the clay. I'm open about that. It would be the French Open.
You're a clay theist.
I am a clay theist.
Carson,
French crowds are crazy. I want to be a part of that or see it.
They're
insane. Carson, what you got? What's that tournament for you?
Yeah, I think I'd have to pick Wimbledon.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's the one you have to try to go to that one time.
Yeah. I had the chance to go to Wimbledon when I was 10 and have not been back since, and so very tempted to go again. But I feel like I've got to expand my horizons and do a new one. I think for me it would be Barcelona. It's such a great city. Spain's got such amazing culture, and so not only is the tennis good, that kind of is at the intersection of tennis and culture that I'd be most interested in enjoying. And Iga is up 30-love, and just in 30 seconds or less, Brenner, if you could answer Ghost's question, which is, why do you hate our freedom here in America? Which I don't know what that's in reference to.
Ghost, we have plenty of other topics to discuss, and with this audience. That's what you're going with. We'll talk about that on a Monday, another time.
The subscriber count just plummeted. Yeah. Okay, Iga finding her range a little bit here and absolutely cruising. 40-love. Let's see if she closes this out. And I'm thinking yes.
I think something to watch out for, especially in the next 3 games, is how much angle is Swiatek going for on the cross-court forehand, especially in those first 2 games. And she was forced to go for so much in her last match against Ostapenko. It's she doesn't really need to miss that angle, rather it be a setup shot. So I'm just going to see how aggressive she's going to be on that wing.
Yeah. I mean, on that point, it's almost like Iga is playing essentially serve +1 style tennis.
Right.
And look, I think on hard courts, that's going to get it done more often than not. I'm really skeptical about that approach over the course of a match on clay against someone who moves as well as Eala can.
I'm with you.
Okay, well, I know I just ragged on the On kit. Their shoes are actually that comfortable. I just got a pair for the first time. They're insane.
Oh, yeah?
They're fantastic. Great
to play tennis in, or
yes.
Got you.
And Iga closes it out on the board. Even on the points that Eala is losing, I will say fantastic depth on a couple of those shots there, and really, really tough to play aggressive offensive tennis against. What Eala is doing with everything other than her serve.
Yeah, no, Eala plays with such good balance. Her core strength has to be off the charts.
Yeah. Ozon's asking how much I paid for the On shoes. I'll tell you this much: never full price. Deal Hunter. You got to Google those codes. Randomly, podcasters seem to get great deals for everything. Ghost is correct though that the On shoes typically are primarily for running, but their tennis shoe product is excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Do y'all have while we're the change over here, do y'all have a brand that you have a particular affinity for, Carson? Anything jump out to you?
I mean, I typically wear Adidas.
Yeah.
Like that's what I wear. And of the large brands, it seems like generally they're a little more creative and expressive with some of their colors.
Yeah. Brenner, what you got?
I'm a Nike guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was a soccer player, so I'll be open about that. I always wore Nikes. And then, yeah, copped some tennis shoes at the start of this year. Some Nike, like, Vapors. I like them. They're sturdy.
Yep. Another great product. I found that the ASIC shoes are very good, but the laces are not. And so there's a guy on YouTube who's not me, but has my same first name, which is Foot Dr. Zach. And like I will go to him for shoelace recommendations to pair with the ASIC shoes sometimes, but I will not wear ASICs with their laces as art. They're like kind of flimsy.
Interesting. Yeah, ASIC does make a good shoe.
We've got Ghost in the chat as a K-Swiss guy. If you're in the States, the Prince brand of shoes, the marketing for Prince is terrible, but the product is excellent and they're super cheap. So I also have a soft spot for those. I don't know, I play in a way that I guess I drag my feet a lot, and so I just demolish shoes. I get like 4 months out of them before they get torn apart. Yes, and what a special moment to announce there will be a Talking Tennis swimsuit calendar if John can be persuaded to put it together. Eala, second serve at 15-love. Trying to hold on to this break. Iga in pretty offensive return position, but does not capitalize. I think, y'all have been on enough streams with me to know, like, I'm pretty reactive. Like I overreact to every single point. And so in my head there, I was like, should Iga change up her positioning on the serve? And it's like, well, I mean, it is like the fourth game, man. Like a bit early. But also,
I mean, she could honestly almost maybe take another step in with as slow as these serves are going to be rolling and just take even more time away. Lost a little bit of accuracy, though, on some of the returns in this game.
I think that's a great idea, Carson, because you're right. Like, how often does Iga get a serve at this pace in a high-level tournament? So, yeah, I think that does seem like a good adjustment. Oh, and in the chat, John has announced that there will be Talking Tennis cigars, and this is a great time to remind folks that not only does smoking make you look cool, there are no health negatives to it. Smoking, endorsed by Talking Tennis. I hope it goes without saying that's a joke. Please don't get mad.
Yeah, just for legal reasons.
Yeah. We don't have lawyers. Don't get mad. Iga sprays that forehand. Yeah.
No, it was deep. Oh, there you go. That's our first. That's our first extended rally. It felt like.
Yeah.
Where Iga actually showed some patience. Nasal strips. That's what we got to do. That's what we got to do. Wear them for streams.
Look, y'all are American too. Like, that is a thing that Jerry Rice was doing in like the late 80s and 90s, and now tennis players are doing it, and some soccer players.
Andre Johnson.
Yeah,
the Texans.
Like, this has been a thing for decades, and I guess it's come back somehow.
We need to get a Nico Jerry sponsorship deal for nasal strips.
Yeah, he's actually up a set and a break right now for.
Oh wow!
It feels like the first time in forever. So.
Speaking of breaks, we got a deuce here. Let's see if Iga can press this advantage a bit and get back into it and back on serve. I'm going to tell y'all right now, my prediction that this is going to be fast. That is the one thing I have confidence in, is that is going to be proven wrong. I think we're going to be here for a while, fellas.
I don't know. I'm not saying that either way, but.
Oh, that's a good return.
That'll get it done.
I just think rhythm,
Yeah,
and timing will become a lot more in sync, which will allow one opponent to gain more rhythm and opportunities.
Another break point for Iga, the world number 2. Asking for a little bit longer before the serve, which some people don't love when she does that. Great serve from Eala, way out wide. Oh, yeah, it's textbook.
Yeah, well done. Jari just sealed a double break, so he's going to serve for the match against Danny Altmaier. It's a big deal because he hasn't won in forever, so just wanted to put that out there. Any
Fun
Jari
player
fans?
to watch.
Totally.
Another deuce. Eala with the second serve now. Let's see if Iga follows Carson's advice and steps in and really gets after this. Doesn't need to.
Nope, not that time. No time for a double fault, though.
Yeah.
That's brutal.
There is some debate on a previous stream. What is the best time to double fault and what is the worst time to double fault? And, any time early in the match isn't as bad as late in the match, but a double fault on a deuce is not a great time to double fault.
No.
Better at love all. And it looks like we got a second here. Iga right on that baseline, looking to step in. Okay. Looks like we're going to have a nice extended rally here. Until Iga sprays it.
Not enough footwork there.
Yeah.
Got lower on her. A little bit lazy to it.
Yes, indeed. Ozon asked in the chat if I'm planning to attend the Winston-Salem Open this fall. I very much am. However, my wife, some big news, is pregnant with her first child, which is coming in October.
Wow.
And so
Congrats.
there's a world in which,
Wow.
getting ready for that takes priority over going to a tournament, although I am going to do my best to do both.
Congrats.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. And as Eala is serving for the game here. And you can bet we've already got tennis onesies for that kid.
Absolutely.
Oh, wow. With an ace to close it out.
Why not?
A lot of people are asking, is Eala a serve bot? I don't know.
With that serve, yeah. Why not?
Yeah, I think that kid's gonna have a racket in the cradle. Got to make it happen.
Project Nadal.
Project Nadal. I don't think that I've seen a Talking Tennis onesie available yet, and I don't want to say that's discrimination against infants, John, but a reasonable person could conclude that. Iga looking to get an easy hold here. Eala doesn't seem to agree with the call. One of the many things that I love about Clay.
Mm-hmm.
One of the challenges to when we do these commentaries, we can't hear what they're saying, though. So if you're in the chat, loop us in. What's the chatter? What's the conversation? Although context clues are making it pretty easy.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's why I'll ask you guys both. What are you fans of the electric line calling on the clay? And we get situations like this still where it probably looks out, or she wouldn't be complaining about it. But I guess that's possible on the clay. The marks are a little off.
Carson, you go first. I'm so curious. What do you think?
I love electronic line calling. Short answer, but
woof, that miss by Iga. Sorry.
Yeah.
This
was tough, but I don't know. I think they have it down to a science within a small enough distance that we're not going to see some of the egregious things that we have seen in the past on clay.
Yeah. I kind of wish they would just go to a totally electric or human system. I am comfortable accepting human error as part of the sport. I don't really love the in-between thing where it's like, you get the people calling it, but returned by the computer. Like pick one or the other is sort of my attitude. Folks, I just learned something new, and it's that Brenner has a posse, much like Andre the Giant. Very exciting. And
they know when to show up.
For
a big event like this.
Yes, indeed. Iga serving at 40-15. And hey, completed Gorilla N46 MPYQ has entered the chat and says, best viewers on streamboo.com. Remove the space. Thank you so much, completed Gorilla N46 MPYQ, for joining us today. We love when you do that.
In case I was also not clear, that's also a joke. Please don't go to that link. If you do.
I'm just a walking legal liability for the whole talking tennis community. I'm sorry, guys. And Iga looks like she has gotten that easy enough hold. Okay, 3-2. Eala serving. We got a changeover, aka the nonsense time. We could talk about whatever. There's no tennis happening right now. What's new? Tell us where where y'all are calling in from today, so the folks get to know you a little bit.
I'm from Minneapolis, Minnesota. So that's like northern United States. If you are not from the U.S. and watching this, so it's just after 9 a.m. here. So a little bit of an early morning, but it's going to be beautiful outside today. Might go play some tennis later.
Ooh, very exciting.
Well, worth it. I played last night. I was hooping a bit. I'm from Boston, East Coast, USA.
North Carolina for me. Also played last night, Brenner. Got it done. 5-4. Man,
okay, that's a fun one.
Sort of. So I had set points in the first at 5-3 and 5-4 before winning 7-5.
Wow.
And then I had match points at 5-1, 5-2, and 5-3. Like, this guy was, absolute dog, nothing but respect. I think that he fended off a total of, it was 11 or 12 set and match points.
Wow.
And just it was on clay, made me work, the usual. In the chat, hey, tell us how you're hitting them. Tell us about your shots. Maybe swing Dr. Brenner, serve Dr. Carson. We'll tell you how to take it to the next level. We'll Moritoglu you.
Love it.
You have public clay courts around you, or is it a club?
I'm so glad you asked. We do not have public clay courts in Durham, but many other cities in America and around the world do. And I would argue it's a social justice issue. Clay courts should not just be for rich people that can afford a private club. It's a great way to keep seniors engaged and on the courts because it's easier on the body. So we do not, but I do a little bit of advocacy to the local municipal government that they should invest in public clay. Do you have those in Minnesota?
No, it's as you could probably imagine, the weather is not really conducive to anything other than hard courts. So, we literally had some snow on the ground from a random snowstorm like 3 weeks ago. So,
oh wow,
not really great for anything. Obviously, really difficult to do grass, but yeah, there's not a ton of play around here either.
Oh, golly. 15 all, Eala serving. And in the chat, they're discouraging me from my public clay court mission. Public does not mean free. It can be a revenue generator for the city. One creative payment structure I've seen some towns do is they'll charge, like $2 an hour for public clay courts for city residents. And they'll charge, $8 or $10 an hour for non-city residents, who oftentimes will come for the clay because that's the most affordable way for them to do it, is to drive 15, 20 minutes into that city. So there are some additional costs associated, but you can make a pretty reasonable case that it can be a revenue generator. And then on top of that, from an environmental perspective, clay is much better for stormwater, for whatever than hard courts.
Wow. Eli coming in from the Philippines. They have cement courts.
Oh, wow.
It's
interesting.
How fast are those courts?
Gotta be a little bit tough on the body.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in, Eli.
Absolutely.
And feel free to ask us more questions about the U.S. or whatever else comes to mind.
I think Ghost is doing a good job of putting out all the intrusive questions here.
So my day job is I'm a political consultant and help people get elected and do some super PAC work. And so I'm just gonna stay away from all that stuff for everybody else's sake as much as mine, because I'm a real bummer at dinner parties at the moment. Ooh, and here comes the break back opportunity. Let's see if Iga can capitalize. Thank you, John, for recentering us after that pressure point. And here we go. Let's see if Iga does the thing where she holds the racket up. A little gamesmanship. Here we go. Close serve, but a miss. We've got a second serve on break point. Iga's putting pressure on Eala basically every service game now.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's had multiple break points in each of the first two of her service games.
Yeah.
Hasn't converted any yet, but
and it's taking us 30 minutes to get to 3-2. Time to call in sick on this break point. Looper. Miss. That's just that seems to be the theme of these breakpoints for Iga. She's in it, she's got opportunities, and maybe she pulls the trigger one shot too early or just not quite enough margin. But I think based on the pressure she seems to be putting on every game, very much a world in which she gets back into this, takes the set, goes from there.
Right. That one was decided to be a little bit more conservative, deep to try and handcuff Eala. She fought it off well.
She had it looked like an opportunity to have an offensive return there, but ultimately sailed a bit long. And now Eala is serving to close out the game and go up 4-2. And we can see that she's sponsored by something called Globe with a waving hand. Woof.
That's a good forehand.
Yeah.
That'll get it done. Oh, boy.
Iga is struggling a little bit more with creating her own pace on the forehand side. That side's looked a little bit loose today. Backhand is looking decent enough, but there have been quite a few unforced errors with the forehand.
That serve from Eala does not have a ton of net clearance. Oof. And Iga sprays that backhand. I think we're all reading that comment. And Ghost selling us on the values of gardening, in a sense. Which is a great secondary hobby to tennis, by the way, as Eala serves. Add in. Let's see if she can close it out. God, there's so little net clearance. Did that hit?
That was in.
That's what makes it typical, yeah.
It looked like Iga was protesting there.
I think she still is, yeah.
Okay. All right, Iga serving at 4-2. Let's see if she can get an easy hold here and get back to putting pressure on Eala's serve. It seemed like relatively, minus that first game, that first break, Iga's serve has been getting it done.
Yeah, she's been winning a good percentage of points.
Yeah.
To serve. It's like, yeah, outside of that first game, it's been solid enough.
Oh, there's a nice clay court bounce there. Eala, okay. I see the shades of Nadal in that forehand.
Oh, she's got game.
Yeah. You know, there was a time where Bollettieri Academy, you know, if you wanted to be a top 10 player, that's just where you trained, you know, from in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, it seemed like. And I wonder if Nadal Academy will be that place for the 20s, the 30s, and the 40s here. It sure seems like they're on a track to be.
I mean, honestly, what's a better academy in the world right now?
I mean, I know Saddlebrook was solid, and I had the chance to train at Everett Academy as a junior, and you know, same deal, solid. But I mean, the amount of pros coming in and out of Nadal Academy, the access to elite trainers and players, I think, is just unparalleled. So there's a couple of the states that are good, but it seems like Nadal Academy is the one that is truly great. Mouratoglou, you know, I don't know if they're going to be cranking out top 10 players. I think that, you know, based on all their marketing that I see, it seems like that's more of a revenue generator, a moneymaker. Eala standing way in on that serve here, and now has 3 break points to really grab control of this set.
Yeah, I was gonna say, look at how far she's stepping inside the baseline. I mean, maybe not like. I mean, she can be doing it for, you know, 2 reasons in terms of, all right, a little bit more pressure on Iga's second serve, but actually, you know, getting the most out of it as she did there.
Oh, now a second one.
She's got both of her feet firmly inside the baseline here on second serve. She breaks herself.
Wow.
What's up, Dave?
All right. Super Dave in the chat. Dave coming live to us from Texas, I believe. Dave, we'll be very curious what you would say if you were in the box with Iga right now. Because he'd be better not to be down 2 breaks. At this point, you know, maybe she can battle back and get competitive in this set, but realistically, need to mentally prepare to go 3 if you're Iga. And so, fellas, Ozon says that Iga is overthinking everything. Are you seeing that from her on the courts?
Yeah, I mean, she's just missing too much. Like, no need to. She hasn't gotten to many patterns of play, extended rallies, trying to go for too much. Break points have been, I would be harsh, but like, it's been really, really poor on break points. So
she's struggling with the flatness of the balls again. Like, this is especially how that second set in Miami went.
Yeah.
It's like just like spraying a lot, overthinking it. So it's obviously a very different spin profile from her.
Yeah.
Than you would typically get from like a top 50 player on clay. That she just hits it very flat, and it's effective in this matchup.
What kind of idiots would have predicted a straight set win for Iga? Am I right? I mean, embarrassing.
No one would
thought that was gonna happen.
That's a whoopsies, folks. Hey, you know, we're talking tennis, not accurately predicting tennis. You know, here we are.
I mean, it maybe sounds crazy now, but I don't think this set is close to over.
Oh,
yeah.
I mean, hey, that's the beauty of clay, right? There's
Right.
You don't see a ton of easy. I'm sorry, Ghost. I think I've upset him by making Mouratoglou out to be more of a relentless capitalist than Nadal. There's room for debate there, probably. Fair points, Ghost.
I'm going for a walk. Well, we might be on when you're back.
Yeah. All right. Let's see if Iga can get back in it.
That must have landed right on the line.
Yeah, it's a textbook kind of +1 there. Ozan, you've been out for a while. Now you're coming back just to grill me. I love it though. I'm here. I'm here for it.
I think it seems like we've got some fans from joining us from the Philippines, which is pretty exciting.
We love it.
That's one of the beautiful things about tennis. It's such a global game. You know, we had a battle for Lithuania earlier today between Ostapenko and another player from there, whose name escapes me. But I thought that was neat. And Iga with 3 break points. A wise man said this set might not be over. And that might come to be true here. Great depth from Iga on this rally. And gets it done.
I mean, just some nerves there.
Yeah.
You know, like it. I mean, hard to chalk that up to anything else. And Iga's been returning fairly well against her. She's had break points in every single service game so far.
Yeah.
So it was going to happen at some point, and just happened to happen while she was serving for the match. Not the match, the set. I know how tennis scoring works.
I'm doing something that maybe some of our wonderful audience can relate to. I am texting work to move something because this is more important to me than the job that I get paid to do. Because look, it's tennis. It's, you know, we all have a special relationship, whether we play or watch or both. When you got a good match, you just got to find a way to stick with it. And this, you know, I have no idea how this is going to shake out. And I feel really lucky to be here with y'all watching it and with the awesome Talking Tennis community. As Iga serves.
Love it.
15 love.
Love that dedication and passion, Zach. Keep it coming.
You know, it's a double-edged sword.
Of course.
Yeah. It's important to get your priorities straight in tennis. Obviously, should be higher on that. God, look at Eala's return there. I know it didn't work out for her, but she took that thing practically from the service line. Look at that.
Insane.
Bit of a
Did you
misread.
like wind up on that too?
Yeah. That was, it wasn't a chip in charge. That was a full cut.
Right.
Got an extended rally, looper, just a bit long from Eala. You know, that ball didn't hit, but I think that's a good play for her to reset the point, especially again on clay.
Mm-hmm.
It's, you know, those balls with that kind of depth, that kind of height, it doesn't seem like Iga is able to put them away. She might hit an offensive ball, but Eala moves very well and can handle it. As Iga looks to close out this game and take us to 5-4. And does so successfully. Okay. Oh, that's an interesting tidbit from Super Dave there about Eala. She grew up playing primarily boys as a junior because so few girls played in her region. Yeah, I think that's an interesting training story. You know, there's some slight stylistic differences. I wonder, you know, if she, as a result of that, is better prepared, equally prepared, or differently. But that's kind of a neat little fact.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Okay. It's changeover time, aka nonsense time. And so,
Yeah.
Carson, question for you. Who is more likely to produce a slam? This is from Ozan, Demon and Katie Bolter, or Paula and Stefanos? Oh, wow.
That's a tough one.
What makes it a tough one?
I mean, the fact that none of these 4 people have a Grand Slam.
Yeah.
Well, that would make it really easy to pick. I mean, I suppose, like, Stefanos has been to a final before, a couple of finals, so he's maybe shown the highest level for the 4 of them at any point. But
I guess, point of clarification, are we talking singles Grand Slam? Because
that's a good question.
I think maybe Bolter could in doubles, maybe.
Yeah.
We're talking next generation. If they both have kids, which kid? Oh, definitely Stefanos and Paula. That kid's gonna be 9'6", gonna have a 200-mile-an-hour serve, and be like comically good looking.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, and here we go. Eala is serving for the set. Pretty darn good return from Iga to start us off there.
Yeah, barely caught it. She had the same look 2 games ago and just missed it. So that was a little bit lucky, but well done.
This is intense.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Like,
I love it.
My heart rate's up. All that stuff. Nice serve to the backhand from Eala. Oh, that's just textbook.
That was good.
Slice out wide. Take the forehand down the line. 1-2. You know, I'm noticing that Iga on the backhand return is going cross court into Eala's forehand quite a bit. And I think she might be better suited trying to go down the line just a touch more. You know.
Right, make her redirect to backhand. Yeah, I think she's trying to kind of go at the body, but right, it's just like not deep enough, and it's on the forehand wing. Makes it an easy +1.
Yeah.
It's tough thing about playing a lefty. Like it's another, like that's something you have to actually think about on the court. But you don't really want to be thinking about those things on the court.
Totally. Yeah, it's, you know, look, she's serving 123 and getting it done. You know, that lefty advantage is very real. As we are at 30-15, now 40-15. Eala has 2 set points, and those who predicted straight sets for Iga probably feeling pretty silly right now. That being said, lucky as tennis fans because we get more time potentially on the courts and on the broadcast together.
Absolutely.
Potentially. I think I thought that in Miami too.
That's 1 set point saved. Here we go. Ooh, I like it. As we got a set point number 2, little conspiracy theory from Marcus E, who feels that Iga has been handed tough draws recently. Maybe not random. Oh, that was a close miss.
Yeah.
Okay, Iga has saved 2 set points. This is where having Grand Slam experience, I think, is such an advantage. You know, the championship experience. I mean, Iga, the pressure in that moment for her is simply not what it is for many other players.
Dude, last year Osaka match was crazy.
Oh my God, yeah.
Like you kind of knew it was going to happen though. Wow, way to dig for Eala.
Iga showing a little frustration there after fighting off 2 set points just to have a bad miss. Eala with her 3rd set point. Yeah, I mean, John put in the chat, I thought the Eala would be feeling out that deuce point, but clearly not.
Right.
There's that cross-court backhand again on the return from Iga. running Eala a little bit here. Oh, and a miss. Okay. Cancel your morning, fellas. Call in sick. Start coughing. Schedule an email during the changeover. Whatever you got to do. A 50-minute first set. Let's make some silly predictions. I think we're going 3. I'm going to say it. Carson, what you got?
I think we'll go 3.
Yeah, I mean, it feels almost silly to say we're going 3. It's now 3 sets to love in the head-to-head. But yes, we're going 3, and Iga's winning.
Okay. Oh, so you're going to add in the Iga wins in 3.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, I mean, they're showing stats on the screen right now. Both of these players won 35 points. This comes down to Iga was 1 of 6 on break points.
I think also
that's the difference.
When's the last time you saw Iga make 25 unforced errors in a set? That's a big number.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think one of the keys to the match that we talked about it earlier on too is that first serve. And 50%, I mean, look, for any rec player, 50% of the first serve, like, hey, pretty good day. For Iga, that's just not going to get it done. If she can pump that number up into the mid to high 60s, it's just going to generate so many more free points. And then, Carson, you're exactly right. You just can't go 1 for 6 on those break points on clay. You got to capitalize.
Just like unlike Iga.
Yeah. You know, there were some like weird reports about her bringing her psychiatrist on vacation with her, and so like it seems like maybe she's having a hard time, not just with converting her shots, but just really with the mental side of things. And look, it's a totally normal thing for elite pro athletes to go through in tennis and individual sports in particular. But you got to feel for any player that might be struggling with some of the off the court stuff, some of those kind of internal or external pressures. And that's not to take away from what Eala is doing, but in my humble opinion, Iga's A game is still just a completely different level than Eala's. We're just not seeing her A game, and the error count and any number of other things would back that up. All right, set 2 underway. Hope everybody's comfortable. Marcus E., thanks so much for joining. I think we will have a good day. We're watching tennis and we're talking tennis. And as we're getting underway, Brenner, John asks in the chat, is this the lowest ebb for Iga since the end of 2021? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, in my time watching tennis, yeah, which is only 2.5 years. So
it's tough when you see a player as young as Iga not performing. I think she will get back on track. Will it be this clay season? Will it be this year? I don't know. She's got a lot of tennis in her future and ahead of her. And look, she's still number 2 in the world. It does seem, though, that Sabalenka has really separated herself from the pack. I think at this point, I saw this morning, there's a 4,000 point gap between Sabalenka and Iga.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still kind of surprised is Sabalenka's final struggles.
Yeah.
I think I saw a stat the other day. It was like 8 and 9 or something in the last, whatever that number rounds up to, 17. So
yeah,
that's still a little bit surprising, but yeah, she is the clear-cut number 1, just like across all surfaces.
Yeah, yeah. By the way, in the chat, they're pointing out that Iga loses 900 points if she's unable to come back today. Huge points implications to this match because she's defending so many.
I mean, the next couple of months are a lot of points for her to defend a title here, title in Rome, title in Roland Garros. That's 4,000 with those 3 tournaments. So,
the 900 is a guess. Let's assume it's an accurate-ish guess. It's a lot of points, one way or another.
Yeah, she got a bye here, so I like 900.
Iga showing she's up 30-15, and she's up to a perfectly fine start, but you can feel that residual frustration. And now we're at 30 all. Man, she's having a bad time out there. What'd you say, Brennan?
Good depth.
Yeah. Yeah.
So obviously, Iga got 1,000 for winning the title last year. A round of 64 points here are 35 points. So she'd be dropping 965 points.
Wow.
If she lost today.
Big forehand winner there from Iga. Now with the game point to get on the board and get things started. Super Dave points out that the positive test, the coaching change, and then perhaps the mental coach working with a new coach, all complicating factors, all could lead to challenges. I think exactly right. Totally fair. Who knows which one is causing the most challenge, creating the most challenges, but it's not like that makes it easier. Any of the stuff that Dave's referencing.
As you mentioned earlier before the stream, there's so many off-court things that they are responsible for now. Like, that adds just another level to it. So,
yeah. Ooh, and Ozon asks, is the case of too many chefs in the kitchen? I don't know that it's the case of too many chefs, but I do get the sense that it's a case of a lack of a unified vision. And, they just need to coalesce around something, around a plan. Because right now it feels like Iga is not playing with clarity from what I can tell. I can't imagine that she was prepared for Eala to be taking these returns from where she is on second serves. I mean, she is, a full step inside the baseline on clay. Iga with a very nice change of direction there.
Ghosty's back.
Sorry, I Ghosty had to take a walk after my nonsense. Okay, game point again for Iga. Let's see if she can convert. That was not a particularly close miss.
No. But I just don't know why it needs to be, on the lines. Like, play with a bit more margin.
Yeah.
I just feel like she's not trusting herself in these rallies, which is a little bit confusing and concerning.
Yeah. And I mean, it just feels like she is consistently pulling the trigger too early. On clay. It's very on Iga like to me. Woo! Very saucy shot there. Yeah, right?
Wow.
And we have our first break point of the set. Set one started with the break. Let's see if set two does as well.
The Google scoreboard has ruined it for us.
Son of a gun. Oh, that's tough because, yeah. Yeah, nice clay court bounce on that miss before from Iga. Eala. Okay, she's a baller. Unafraid, undaunted, unintimidated. Brenna, you still feeling good about that Iga in 3?
Yeah. Well, you got to get there as well. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, unfortunately, like you said, it's just too many opportunities. And Iga was down 5-2 and got it to 4 or 5 dues. So
You know, earlier I was wrong. I said that Ostapenko was in the battle for Lithuania, and I got my L European countries mixed up. She's in the battle for Latvia against Sevastova, which I think is just a fun matchup. Do you think Ostapenko will continue her tear on clay?
Why not? But you just know, kind of streaky, very, very streaky player.
She remains one of my favorite to watch. John's making fun of me because, yes, I do get things wrong more. That's just because the sheer volume of words coming out of me. Like you know, it's when you talk this much, you just get stuff wrong. It's part of the game.
It just happens.
It's also the beauty of podcasting and streaming. Like, we have so much time, you can get 1,000 things wrong. As long as you just keep moving, no one's going to remember.
Exactly.
I mean, Iga just cannot miss in the net on that second serve. And yet, there it is. Okay, we got some good matches getting pulled up on the board here.
Maybe we could do a scoreboard check in this next break. There have been some good matches going on.
Let's do it. And also, I just want to... I watched some of the Monfils match the other day, yesterday. How does he keep doing it? How does he keep doing it? He is allergic to boring matches. Iga with a very, very nice forehand there. By the way, it's cool as we're doing this, just watching that number tick up on the Talking Tennis subscribers, getting next to the that 14,700 number. That's a very, very important number to hit. So if you can be one of the next 9, wow, lucky you, lucky us.
Zach, do you believe in the? I'm not sure if you're familiar with the system, like a breadstick bagel system.
What's the breadstick bagel system?
Like if you lose this at 6-1 or 6-0.
Oh, so like, I mean, I've heard the Fritz interview that like you don't actually want to beat somebody 6-0 because then they've got nothing to lose, so they'll come out swinging. So you're better off getting the breadstick. Is that different than?
No, I mean like yes, in a sense, aka yesterday with Monfils.
Yeah. By the way, I mean. Iga absolutely stole that point there.
Yeah, that was a joke.
Two break points. As Carson pointed out, let's see if she can bump that batting average up on the conversion here. Here we go.
Batting average.
Yeah, we're gonna make some weird, bad cross sports references. Ooh, and Iga misses wide left on that ball. Little football. Wait, oh no, she didn't miss.
One more chance.
Long.
Yeah. Okay. The break back. 13 minutes just to get to 1-1, and we are on serve.
Could be a long day at the office. Yeah, Zach, I think your stream sped up a bit.
Let me slow it down. All right.
Yeah, I think Monfils is a good story. I think, Svitolina has totally inspired him to keep going. And it's fun. They do a lot of work together. I mean, I just can't really imagine how fun that is, to play with your wife, watch her compete.
Do they play in mixed doubles events together?
There's like none of those on tour, but like, no, I don't know. I mean, obviously there are some, but
I guess they're having pretty darn good results in singles, and so they're probably trying to focus on that. But I could see a world instead of retiring, maybe they just kind of barnstorm the majors with mixed events as like a semi-retirement thing. That would be pretty darn fun.
That would be.
I think their kid is the most likely to be a championship caliber player over the other couples that were.
I love that. Yeah.
Shared. That being said, Ben Shelton and Trinity Rodman, if they have kids, I don't know, soccer, basketball, tennis, whatever, they're gonna be good at something.
They're gonna be good at something.
Billiards. Iga letting it rip a little bit. And it seems like she's either improved her margin or her accuracy, or maybe both here a little bit in the early going in set 2. Oh, man. Fritz and Morgan Riddle. That'll be really interesting to see what that kid grows up to do. Whatever they want to do, money will get thrown at it, though. Was that a kick serve ace there from Iga? Very, very nice.
Whoa. Yeah, I skidded off that line.
I don't see many of those.
Big kick there.
Is that her first ace of the match? Yes, it was.
All right. I believe this will be Iga's first set lead if she gets this hold here at 40-15. Iga taking her time, a couple extra bounces. Nice serve up the middle, gets it done. And Iga is up 2-1. And now that we've got some changeover time, one of the funniest things that happens on a tennis court is when married couples play mixed doubles and it doesn't go well. And I have my wife does not play tennis, but I've been on the courts next to a married couple that get into a fight on the tennis court that's not really about tennis. And it's both deeply uncomfortable and also like a train wreck. You cannot look away.
So uncomfortable.
I know.
Yeah, let's just go through some scores quick.
Let's do it.
Good.
Let it rip.
Andreeva was on court right before this. Got a 2-set win over Buskova. Belinda Bencic continues her really good start to the year. She beat Clara Tauson earlier. Anna Kalinskaya got a win over Diane Perry. Emma Navarro. Diane Schneider is, yeah, you can see on screen. Linda Noskova looks like she's going to wrap up her match fairly quickly. On the men's side, Cam Norrie playing right now. We've got some friends of ours that are, I'm sure, are very interested in that one. Looks like that's going to tiebreak. Nico Jerry won, which Brenner referenced earlier. Gabriel Delialo took down Zuzu Burgess, which a little bit of an upset there. Lucky loser coming through.
Did you see the handshake or lack thereof in the Bellucci match?
Yep.
I didn't, but I know, given how Zumir is as a player person, I assume it was quite frosty.
Bellucci did the act of like the 9-year-old handshake, psych kind of thing.
No way, at the net.
Yes.
I'm gonna look it up. That's
it's an
crazy.
amazing clip. If we could get that on the screen somehow, I would love for folks to see it. It was deeply uncomfortable. I did not watch the match, so I don't know what led up to it, but it seems like there was plenty of bad behavior all around. And I don't think those guys are going out for beers tonight, if we're being honest.
No. There was a Belushi tried an underarm serve and he got him. And Zumir went to the chair and made them look at the review because he said he wasn't looking at Belushi while he was doing it.
Oh, get over it. Come on.
And then they looked at it and the call stood. They said he was looking. So, yeah, that's a...
I mean... I don't understand people that get mad. There's two things on the tennis courts that I just don't understand. If you're at the net and somebody hits the ball at you hard and it's not like obviously at your head, and people get mad about it, I do not understand it. And then the underarm serve, it is a shot that you are allowed to hit. What's the problem?
Yeah, the underarm serve thing, I don't have.
Wow, I'm watching the video right now, Zach. That's crazy.
Yeah. If they like were actual top players, they would get big old fines for that, but they're not.
Yeah.
So it'll be like, a reasonable one. Iga at 15:30 with the second serve opportunity here. Let's see if she can force the action, maybe get a break. Nope, just right in the net. I believe that Rinky Hijikata is playing Riley Opelka later today.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna find a way to watch that match because I think it's just gonna be a silly match.
Now that one should be interesting.
Zach, were you shading Vava?
Not intentionally,
Okay.
but I'll accept it. I don't back away from doing that. It wasn't an active effort. Maybe subconscious.
Were you chirping doubles or? Sorry, I was watching the video.
Oh, great ball. Ooh, they're running this point. Those misses from Iga, uncharacteristic. 3 this game that just, completely unforced.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Definitely interesting. I feel like it's the Eala backhand that's like, I don't know if it's like getting through the court a little bit quicker. The Eala backhand to the Iga forehand has been one of the problems, I'd say.
Yeah.
In this match. Not sure why though, but
we are at 2-all.
Zach, do you do any underarm serves?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, so
yeah, you gotta mix them in.
Absolutely. So on the ad side in particular, I like to go kick out wide, and I've got a pretty heavy-ish kick. And every now and then guys will step way in to try and take the kick on the rise, and then other guys will back way up and kind of put their butt on the fence and try and catch on the way down. If somebody's butt's on the fence, I'm gonna hit an underarm serve at least once, just to make them think about their return positioning.
No, totally.
Against Medvedev, for example, like I don't understand why more guys don't hit underarm serves when somebody's standing that far back. Carson, are you a Under Armour sometimes?
Not often. I don't have anything against it. I like feeling all the power though.
Yeah. I mean, so back to the Bellucci handshake situation. Have y'all ever been in an on-court situation where you've seen something like that happen before?
No. Although I've never played tennis to the competitive level that you have. Just being honest.
I mean, never had anything. I've had people get like not like a call. That's a thing that happens from time to time. Mm-hmm. But like, you're really just supposed to at the end of the match let it whatever go and say good match. And so
just sportsmanship.
Yeah. But also like, just like take sportsmanship out of it and think about like strategy. Like you were giving somebody a reason to want to beat you more for forever if you behave that way. And that strikes me as a bad strategic choice as well. Ooh, Iga has
a really good look here.
Yeah. Yeah, that backhand, that'll get it done. 3 break points. Here we go. Second serve. And Eala is going to stand essentially on the service line again. Okay, it's 1 break held. Things do get heated in USTA League from time to time, and it's wild watching adults behave like children. Because I feel like as we have a break point number 2 here, like at this point, like I think I'm an adult, and yet on a tennis court, I am 12 still.
Been there.
Okay, Iga with their second ace of the match to erase another break point. I think that's one of the things that makes tennis so great, right? Like we all revert to those feelings and emotions. And Iga, I'm sure, has some of those voices in her head right now. Granted, the stakes are ever so slightly different than USTA League.
Maybe a little bit.
Okay, another break point erased. Every time it looks like Eala is about to really pull away, Iga manages to keep herself in it. But also, anytime it looks like Iga is about to go on a run, Eala manages to stop it. It's good tennis.
It is.
Or it's tense tennis.
Yeah.
Even if Iga's missing a little more than is ideal. Ugh. You know, we briefly touched on this as Eala has her 4th break point of the game. This is Iga's first competitive match on this surface this year. Do we think there's any advantage for Eala having already gotten one?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like outdoor clay versus indoor. But Eala was in Orash, however you pronounce it. And that's like obviously a much slower surface than here, just given the altitude.
There it is. Eala. I mean, look, who pointed out Iga's never won a set against her.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, but it's just like way too erratic for Iga. Like I just don't. I mean, oh wow, they're even playing the Carlos Netflix trailer on the chairs umpire. You see that? I thought they just had the end there. Now they're over changeovers. They're showing trailers.
Oh, the level of advertising that we've been forced to
crazy.
accept as a people is just disgusting. That being said, I am probably going to watch that.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Is there any tennis content that y'all have consumed recently that you want to recommend?
Last night I watched sort of podcast Andy Roddick's interview with Marty Fish.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just talking a little bit about his mental health battles and what he went through on and off the court. Yeah, if you don't know his story, there was a point he literally pulled out of the U.S. Open before a match just because his anxiety was so bad, and then could not go back to the facility for 3 years after that.
Wow.
So it was a great interview. So it is longer. It's like an hour and a half long. So maybe you break it up into a couple of sittings, but it was very good.
Well, that sounds like a good one. And Ozon is plugging the Changeover podcast with Bernard Tomic. All good stuff. All good stuff. For me, mostly just stick with talking tennis. All the tennis content I need, which is why, if you haven't yet, go ahead and mash subscribe. And also the Triangle Tennis Podcast, which I'm the host of. We've got, a dozen or so listeners now, so pretty big.
Hey now.
It is intentionally niche. We focus on Durham and Raleigh area recreational tennis.
Okay.
And so we'll get into stuff that's like universal rec tennis, like what's the difference between a 4-5 and a 4-0 player kind of stuff. But it's mostly recapping matches and talking through different moments and that kind of stuff. We have a good time. We have a good time.
No, Tomic doesn't have a podcast, but he went on to the Changeover podcast, which is a good one.
Conrad Irving pointing out that the plus 500 for Eala looking pretty good right now, and I would be very curious if anybody could post the live odds on this match as Eala gets ready to serve at 15:30, up 3-2.
Yeah, probably like a slight Eala favorite.
I'm going to say like minus 160 for Eala is my guess. As Iga generates 2 more break point opportunities. Let's see if she can get one of these. quote from Marty that Dave posted. I don't write or read. Amazing. Amazing. A lot of pro athletes. Don't listen to them about anything other than the sport they play. It's just Eala erases the first break point, but Iga's got one more and could really, really use this break. I think that's got to be some Opelka shade from John about not listening about the sport they play. And you know what? Deservedly so, if so. And there it is.
Great rip.
Jake, what's the core reference to? Let's see.
You know, I honestly get it when players are like, I don't watch any tennis. Like,
Yeah.
I don't watch the news because that's what I do for work all day. And so, like, I'm not trying to consume more work when I'm not working. You know, for Camilla Giorgi, that's her day job. I get it. I think it probably would be beneficial to watch, you know, your own form in practice, but you don't really need to watch the other player. Like Manarino, you know, famously goes out of his way to try and not know who he's playing until the moment he walks on the court. So interesting approach. Ghost of Garolitis points out that on the West Coast, the club tennis scene might be a little bit different sometimes than on the East Coast. I think it's similar-ish for the East Coast schools. A lot of the players in the club team at big universities, like the larger state schools, they tend to have been like D2, D3 caliber recruits, or maybe could have walked on at some places on the team. So it's similar-ish. I'd be curious how those levels compare, if there's any kind of club competition that pits East versus West. Iga serving at 15 love, 3-all in the second. No one in the chat has posted the live odds, which I very much would like to know, if possible. 15-all. It is important to state Pele was indeed a soccer god. Pele, the player for the for the New York Cosmos? That's what he's best known for, right?
Yeah. What's Brazil? Never heard of it.
Ego with that. Oh, yeah. Look at that kick. Weird bounce.
She's done that a couple different times now.
Yeah. And it seems like it's somewhat line assisted, but it's also just a heck of a kick serve.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Eala is plus 180. Oh, that's a great. I mean, people should gamble or not, whether they want to or not, but that is certainly an interesting investment opportunity, if you ask me.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, to each their own.
Iga closes there to go up 4-3. Brenner, are you still feeling good about her coming back, winning set 3?
I do. But I mean, like, she's proven us wrong various times. So
Iga seems to be having a little chat with the chair umpire here, who's now gone to the walkie-talkie, and I assume that means maybe there's a bathroom or trainer break incoming. Unclear.
Yeah.
We'll see. May have a couple extra minutes before this next game.
Well, you know I love this nonsense time between games. Conclave, who we betting on? Are there live odds yet on DraftKings? Are y'all following the Conclave? Hey, fair. It's talking tennis, not talking conclave.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I haven't seen it.
I was just trying to tune in on what she needed. Sounds like an ice towel. That's what I got out of it.
Okay.
Ozon asked, "What's the conclave?" The most recent pope recently died, so now they're gonna do like their little vote to pick a new one. I'm not Catholic, so I'm just like an armchair observer. But they made a movie that came out in the past year starring Ralph Fiennes called Conclave about the picking of a pope, and it was very interesting. And because I've sat through that 2-hour movie, I now have opinions about the actual conclave, and that is armchair expertise in a nutshell. I also just think it's funny that people will be able to legally place bets on who the next pope will be.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It might, maybe we're going a little far with some of the gambling stuff, but also like
It's
I
like
gotta
that.
imagine.
I felt the same way during the elections this last year. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about being able to bet on who the president is going to be. Like, that feels a little weird to me.
It definitely creates some not ideal incentives. Oh wow, what a volley from Eala there, right on the line. Yeah, I think the gambling thing comes up sometimes, and I think it needs to in tennis, because tennis is a sport that is uniquely able to be rigged from a gambling bad actor perspective. When you've only got two people involved, boxing is very similar, and so like there has to be a heightened level of scrutiny than in an individual sport, because they just have more agency in their ability to put their thumb on the scales for the scoring or whatever in a way that in team sports harder. I see that Matthew D'Souza has also watched the movie Conclave and maybe can recommend it if it's good. Eala up 30 love here, trying to keep us on serve in the second.
Can you bet on both players wearing the same kit? I mean, you just got to know their sponsors, and then you're in.
I remember during the pandemic, there were a couple of guys I was friends with that were betting on, like, I don't know, Serbian ping pong, because that was the only thing
Right.
that you could bet on. And that was the moment where I was like, oh man, we might have to make this illegal again. That can't be good. There has to be a better use of time than that.
Better use of time and better use of your own money.
Yeah. Extended rally here with the Eala serving at 30-15, and Iga misses in the net. What is her total error count going to be at the end of this?
Right.
I mean, she's at 25 at the end of the first. I can't think of a match where Iga made 50 unforced errors. And I'm sure that has happened before, but I mean, that just feels like a staggering number, and I think she might get there today.
I mean, she might. This second set isn't much cleaner than the first.
Yeah. And we are now at 4-all. And the pressure continues to mount on both players. Let's see who handles it better and is able to get this set. Iga serving. Ghost refusing to start a podcast. However, you could do an anonymous podcast. People write books anonymously and stuff. Yeah, do a little voice screeny thing.
I mean, there are some pretty good ones now that don't like sound too much like a computer. Like you can actually sound like a real person.
Yeah. Dave feels a break coming. I feel a hold coming. Somebody will be right. Somebody will be wrong. But tennis will go on.
Matthew, you're a big Coric fan. I don't know if that matchup really matters to him, to be honest. But Ronaldo's had a down year. It's kind of been sad to watch.
Iga at 30 love. Trying to get this easy hold here. And go up 5-4. Big rip from Eala on that forehand. Another one too.
Mhm.
And the pressure gets to Iga, who misses again. And in the chat, Ozon confirms he is in fact a bot.
We've all suspected that for a while.
Elijah, how are you? Oh, it's 11 p.m. in the Philippines. Yeah.
Iga with the big
So
serve
great.
there. What is the beer, the premier beer in the Philippines? What's the go-to? Give us like what the actual best one is, and give us like what the Bud Light of the Philippines is. Let's learn something new today. As Iga hopes to close this game out at 40-15.
San Miguel.
Never heard of it.
Iga gets the hold.
Guys, if you're new here, please do like and subscribe. And join us for future watch-alongs.
Good hold.
Yeah,
Very
good hold. Pretty crazy. Our producer just retweeted it, but so Alcaraz dropped out. They threw in Gabby Diallo as an alternate who played Bergs today. And now Majak, who lost, gets in as a lucky loser to now play Diallo, who won. So you got to skip round one.
Wow, what a series of events. Can you imagine if he wins now?
Right? That's crazy.
Oh, he's going to. That's the way this works.
Yeah. Diallo is a bit of an up-and-comer, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, he's more
22,
hardcore player. What's up? Oh, yeah, he's still young. He's still young, but big hitter, big ground strokes, big serve, big stature as well. He's probably 6'6".
Yeah, he's a big guy.
A little bit erratic at times, but
It definitely every trait you're describing sounds like going to be dynamite on hard courts. Clay season's going to be a long season,
right
every year.
Right. But he's impressed. That's why I've been impressed so far. Obviously, still a small sample size, but he gets a little bit more time to wind up on those ground strokes. But yeah, obviously movement's a little different, or a lot different.
Oh, and Matthew points out that in the battle for Latvia, Sevastova wins the first set.
Wow. Yeah, Kamil Majak, Ghosty, won the Madrid Challenger over Cilic a few weeks ago.
Okay, Iga
Here's
takes
an
the
extended
first
rally.
point.
There we go. I mean, I just haven't seen enough of that. Like, you don't need to overhit. Good depth.
Yep.
Make Eala go for it.
Ghost points out that the stands are relatively empty, and I got to tell you, it's one of those things that drives me nuts. Tennis just simply has to do a better job. They've got world-class athletes in a competitive, fantastic match, and they can't seem to get butts in seats for it. It's a disgrace. The players are owed better. The organizers of the tournament, the governing bodies, they simply must do better at filling the stands. I mean, earlier we talked about the Winston Open, which I'm going to go to. Could sit in the second row for most rounds. Just bumping it up.
I mean, that's a yes. We can go back and forth on that, just given the timing of the event and the players that are there. But yeah, it's definitely hard early weeks, early rounds in these big events. They charge a lot, obviously, for the day session, and
it's just a lost opportunity. Like when people see tennis in person, their love for the game only grows. You know, they're more likely to play. They're more likely to watch. They're more likely to develop an affinity for a player. And so it's just like bad business.
It is. And like, I guess I'll talk after this, a big point.
Yeah. Oh, the swinging volley winner for Iga.
Yeah, just much more like thematical there. But yeah, I mean, I've only been to like, I guess, bigger events apart from Newport that I've been to twice because they only have so many courts. But like, I'd much rather enjoy, going to these side courts and like really feeling the environment. You get better fans, and you're a lot closer to the tennis.
Iga has 3 set points, but only needs 1, and we're going 3.
Yeah.
And maybe just another case of some nerves from Eala at the end of that set. It was just a really poor service game.
Yeah. Scoreboard pressure. Iga not pressing at all in that game. And like, look at the result she gets. Just like a little bit. It's just like, why couldn't you have maybe been doing that more? But
so 44 total unforced errors for Iga, I think, so far. But the winner to error ratio much better in that set.
Yeah, nearly 1-to-1.
Definitely took the serve to another level, both percentage wise, but with the number of aces. In the chat, they're asking, Matthew's asking, who comes out on top today, Tien or Garone? 1,000%. Secretly mortgage your parents' house and bet it all on Tien. It's the double lock of the century. He's the best American left-handed all-court prospect who grew up and spent time on the West Coast since Johnny Mack. Under 6 feet, too. The kid's a stud. He's a stud.
He's going to be really good.
He doesn't have the flashiest weapons. I mean, he's not going to hit a serve 150 like Shelton. He's never going to have a forehand like Alcaraz. But I just love watching the touch and finesse and the grit of this kid. He just, there's so much creativity in his game, and it's so smooth. And it's just, I really get a kick out of watching Tien.
I've called him the American version of Medvedev before.
Ooh,
there are some similarities in their game. Ghosty is saying, I agree with Ghosty in the chat here. Like, he could use a more reliable serve, I think.
Yeah.
But he just has that like bit of a counter puncher mentality and playing style that he's just going to be able to hang around with a lot of people that maybe wouldn't give him a chance against that first glance, but he's going to be really solid and really tough out.
We are so close to having the total number of subscribers end in a 0, which aesthetically is much more pleasing. So if 4 people could please just like do it, and then we could just stay there. That'll be enough. Dave, by the way, seems to be the only person in the chat that has an actually good betting strategy, which is just whatever I say, bet on the opposite. That is a surefire moneymaker. My prediction hit rate on Talking Tennis is so comically bad that I'm deep in my head on this every time. I say the opposite of what I actually think in an effort to get it right, and then I get that wrong too. It's a skill. Okay, and we are underway in set number 3, the decider. The courts have been swept. Iga wins the first point.
Yeah, you say the courts have been swept. It doesn't necessarily look like they've been swept particularly well.
Yeah, they kind of mailed that in.
Yeah, I mean, it's just flatter.
Yeah.
But yeah, I see what you mean.
A little bit patchy out there.
And 30 love for Iga, the greatest living Polish athlete, indisputably. Except for maybe Robert Lewandowski.
I like that call.
Okay, Iga's serve has really picked up here in set 2 and now rolling into set 3. Another ace. As Iga serves at 40 love here, I think Tien is actually the best American prospect. I think Shelton has he's the one that I enjoy watching the most because he's got such weapons. But Tien is the one that I think could go the furthest.
Really?
Damien.
Okay. Wow.
Damien Kust is the second greatest living Pole. The greatest living Pole is Lech Walesa, the former president.
Quick hold.
Yeah, not a lot of that today for Iga.
Is that liquid chalk that Iga's putting on there?
Maybe.
What'd you think it was?
Liquid chalk.
Liquid chalk?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
A few of the players that I hit with use it, and they do say it helps improve their grip on a hot day. And I get the sense it's rather warm in Madrid. I don't actually know the temperature. I could see that being a value add.
It was like 78 or 79 Fahrenheit when the match started, so it is fairly warm out there.
That's just perfect tennis weather. It's hot enough the body's gonna be loose, but it's not so hot that you're like drowning in your own sweat. Ooh, did that hit? Iga thinks it did. The umpire thinks it didn't. And alas for Iga, the umpire is right.
That was pretty close.
Ghost asked if I ever get a little bump of that chalk. No, but you crush something up, put it in an Altoids container. No one will ever know. Brenner knows what I'm talking about. That's the Boston special. Eala serving 15 love.
Wow, that's funny.
There's a good question in the chat from Ozon about whether as a league player I wear shorts when it's 40 degrees or lower. I don't know about y'all. I've made the switch to the tights if it's under 45, under 50, under the shorts. I find they're much more movable and breathable than wearing like sweatpants instead of shorts.
Yeah.
What's your cold weather conditions get up as Iga has an opportunity here at 15:30?
I am more of a sweats guy, but hey, I mean I used to wear tights back in the day, cold soccer games.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, the soccer guys wear tighter sweatpants than any other sport. I don't know where you get sweatpants that tight. Every soccer player I know, like maybe they just buy a size too small. It seems like part of the soccer culture.
It is. The warm-ups are always tight. Good get-ups. Tracksuits.
Do we think that soccer has the highest number of dumb haircuts per capita of any sport? Or is that baseball?
That's a good question.
Like tennis, there's
baseball
not that
has
many
more
bad
flair.
haircuts.
Yeah, I know. No one really has crazy hair.
Yeah. 30 all, Eala serving. JJ Wolf every now and then, like I don't know what, like it's the mullet-ish thing.
Does he have a mullet now? That's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
He cut it.
He did? Okay.
Yeah, JJ, he broke his collarbone about 2 months ago.
How'd that happen?
So he's
can't imagine that was on the courts.
I don't know. I mean, I remember him having to retire mid-match. I didn't see any video situation though.
Great point for Iga. I gotta say the action on that first serve for Eala.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I mean, it started like 2 feet outside the line and swooped right in. You see the footwork of Iga on that short ball, and even at an elite level, her footwork is elite. It just stands out so much compared to anybody else. I mean, just, a dozen itty bitty little steps get perfect positioning. And she has generated a break point with a big backhand winner. I don't know if you all remember the original Ronaldo. His World Cup haircut one year was so silly. The shaved head minus the like just little strip right there.
Yeah.
Terrible. A lot of bleach jobs in both baseball and soccer.
Mm-hmm.
Eala serving, and you hate to see it. Double faults the game away.
Yeah, I mean, did she have the break at 3-2 in the second?
Yeah, I think she did.
Or she threatened a love 40 as well, somewhere in there. Yeah, I mean, just got to take your chances. Just not good enough.
Yeah. Just to close the loop on the bad haircuts, they don't have a ton of bad haircuts in hockey, but they have the funniest, like, just everything because they're all missing teeth,
Right.
Oh, nice backhand there from Iga. Great counter from Eala. And the dropper, will Iga get there? And she just barely does. Oh, Eala with the bad miss.
Oh, no.
That's tough.
Yeah. That's...
Ghosty, good question. New England Revolution.
I think Ghosty just
called. Jake. Appreciate you. Up the revs.
I don't know who Connor is.
I have a soft spot for Atlanta FC. I lived in Atlanta for a little bit and got to see a few of their games. And then also have had the chance to go to a few Seattle Sounders games. Have not gone to Charlotte FC, who I should be rooting, who should be my team. I just haven't made it out there yet.
It's all good. Minnesota United, though.
Who's that team again, Carson?
Minnesota United.
Minnesota United. Very cool.
Yeah, they're pretty new, yeah.
Newer. Been a few years they've been around now.
Bro, it's Atlanta United.
Well, Ozon, as you can tell, I'm a super fan. As I got their name wrong. The stadium's Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I know that much.
Yeah.
But my roommate when I was in Atlanta worked for the team in ticket sales, and so I used to get the, if they had unsold stuff, we'd get a good deal. Iga serving at 15-all in the inexplicably colored on hat and shoes, which many people are calling an affront against the eyes.
Does it make it better or worse for you that the hat and shoes match, considering the color they are?
So I respect that they chose to match them. And so in spite of my feelings about the color, I think that was ultimately the right call. As we are at 14,699 subscribers, and I so want to see that get to a 0, and we're like this close. Extended rally here. Eala with a big backhand there. Oh, no. Did she miss that?
I think that's two misses this game.
Just pushed it a little bit.
You'd like to have back.
I mean, Eala is right there, but just a little drop off in her level since the first, and then Iga is playing at a much higher level now.
We did it. 14,700.
Let's go.
Wow. LFG.
You know what? Let's just get to 15,000. Just 300 more, y'all. Just hop in there. Let's get to that nice round number. I love when we hit a 0 number. It's pretty cool.
That's world class.
Oh, wow. That backhand? Unbelievable. Wonder what it feels like to hit a backhand like that once.
Right.
Great question. Oh, we went down. Someone unsubscribed.
That's not chill.
It's an on rep. They've left the channel for forever.
This is something that Ghosty would do for a good laugh.
Oh, that's such a mean prank, but I respect it.
That's funny.
We'll just get another monumental moment. Clip it.
All right. 40-30. Iga trying to close out to go up 3 love. Nice kick, and she gets it. That's a pretty darn good troll. That's a good troll. Yeah, and there we go. At 14,699. When it gets to like a round number, like 15,000 or 20,000, that's going to be an elite troll.
Mm-hmm. Another good hold from Iga. I feel like this is the most settled that she's been in this match so far.
Yeah. She looks really in control.
Yeah, I mean, hate to be that guy, but Eala missed 2 easy shots.
Yeah,
definitely.
And Iga had a magic shot at 30 all, so probably should have gotten the break back, but yeah.
It's a game of inches, you know?
Yeah, you just have to take your chances, especially when you're playing one of the best players in the world.
Question for y'all. Whose game do you think better translates to pickleball? Eala or Iga? Let's be topical.
Okay. Are you a big pickleball fan, Zach? You definitely aren't, given that you love tennis. Yeah.
No, I am gonna play for the first time this weekend because I've got friends that don't play tennis but do play pickle. To me it's like playing cards or something. Like it's an activity, not an athletic thing, right? Or it's like it's ping pong adjacent. And I recognize there are people who play table tennis as a sport, and it is a sport the way they play it. But just like, guy doing his best, it's not a sport. And I think pickleball is the same way.
Lexi, welcome in. You're gonna need a push here.
Let's see.
I do enjoy it, but
are you a pickleballer?
I like it. I don't play that often. I could count on one hand the amount of times I've played in my life, honestly, but it is fun.
I will say, one thing that is nice about pickleball, you can learn the rules and play and play a match the same day. Tennis, I've got a friend who's picked it up about 8 weeks ago, taking a lesson every week, doing some rallies, hitting the ball machine once or twice a week. He's taking it very seriously, and he's not going to play his first competitive match until probably the end of the summer. Pickleball, you could be competitive today if you have hit anything with a racket before, essentially.
Yep.
Ghost is funny in the comments as Eala is up 30 love here, trying to get on the board. Oh, this is a heck of a point.
That's why I think Eala can be good on clay, like that type of rally.
Is Eala challenging that? Or is he going to foul?
They still haven't adjusted the scoreboard, though, and it's been... There we go. Larry, welcome in. Yeah. One of the more fun rallies of the match right there.
Oh, yeah.
Do either of you know, do they have challenges here, or is it just a review?
No challenge. No. There's really no more challenges in the game. I think we're probably up to 90% of tournaments on the main tours being electronic. But yeah, you can request to look at it.
Yeah.
I mean, with Swing Vision and some of the tech emerging at the rec level, we're going to see it pretty soon, I think.
Does Swing Vision really work, Zach?
Kind of. It works well enough for the level of most people using it. Like,
Got it.
the actual value is it cuts out the time between points, so you can watch your match back in like 12 to 15 minutes instead of 2 hours. But like the miles per hour tracking and all that stuff, it's still getting there. It's close, but it's definitely not there. Same for calling balls in and out. But you know, if somebody makes a truly egregious call, Swing Vision is gonna catch it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And at the next changer, we'll talk a little bit more about how it works as to take us to 40-30.
Yeah,
It's
we're up
the
to-
long story short, Swing Vision. It's a tool you use to record yourself play or whoever play, cuts out the time between matches, or you know when you're drinking water between drills, so you can maximize your time actually watching the points. Iga sprays it there. Swing Vision has a free version, and so a lot of I think you only get like 4 hours a month free, but like that's enough for most people. And then the paid version, I think it's $119 annually, so it breaks down to $10 a month.
Yeah, it's like 120 or something like that.
Yeah. Okay, 3-1. Iga serving. And as we're getting ready to get underway with this game, Brenner, we got a question for you from Jake Davies. Jake, welcome as always. And Brenner, can you expand on why you think Eala's game can work on clay moving forward?
Jake, love the question. Thank you. Always keeping me on my toes. I love talking about this stuff. I think the altitude here is like a big factor in like how it's helping her essentially in this match. But it's also like you're playing like the clay goat at the moment in Iga. So you do have to like experiment and go for things. And we've seen that on display today. But overall, as a play, like she is very balanced. I talked about that earlier in the match, like her movement, her body control. Like that's really, really important on this surface. And she's going to learn more how to slide into shots and try and keep her centered, I guess, from the back of the court. But just like her RPM she creates on the forehand wing, she's able to kind of counter punch on the backhand side. I think the backhand from like a baseline perspective has to improve, but like she fights things off super, super beautifully. So I think she could just like continue to improve on those things. And like you saw today a couple times, flattening out that forehand down the line. Needs to improve the net game. Hasn't gotten to the net much today, and when she has, it hasn't been beautiful. So those are my thoughts. Yeah.
What Brenner said. Yes.
Yeah, she's definitely just so much fun to watch. Eala. I think we got the most people watching so far.
I think that there's a pretty big contingent in the
1850.
Philippines. I mean, huge shout out to folks staying up late, watching from the Philippines. And as we've learned, I hope everybody's enjoying a nice, crisp, cool San Miguel.
Nice Thursday evening.
Yeah. Iga serving at 40-15 and just barely missed, it looks like, on that first serve in her effort to go up 4-1. Yes, just a little wide. Big return. And sails the next one long. Iga goes up 4-1. It's 11:36 in the Philippines, and you can feel the belief in the chat still for Eala. Let's see if she can get it back. And shout out to Lucille, who has just introduced a new beer into the chat. Red Horse. Jake Davies, are you familiar with this beer?
I mean, 4-1, it is just one break. So,
a lot of people call it the most deceptive score in sports. 4-1.
Yep. So,
I'll tell you this much, Carson. Anybody that said secretly reverse mortgage your parents' house to bet it all on Eala, probably not feeling great about that recommendation right now.
well, that person's an idiot.
That person's been wrong about every single prediction so far today, but is probably having a good time nonetheless.
Absolutely.
That's definitely liquid chalk, by the way, that Iga's using.
It seems to be helping a little bit.
Jake, can always count on you, mate.
I love that there's a Brenner army. I feel like now we have to roast Brenner a little bit. When I did the stream with you and Fergus, the teen heartthrobs, Brenner and Fergus.
That's right. My first stream, Zach.
That's right. That's right.
Got a special place.
Ozon with a great question of what do we think Eala's ceiling is ranking wise? I mean, I think it all is contingent in my mind on her being able to get that serve to another level. I don't think that she can be a top 10 player consistently without meaningful improvement on her serve. But if she can get to tour average on the serve, I don't see any reason why she couldn't be at least top 10, and maybe could grab a major or two. I mean, she's got all the talent in the world. She's taken the number 2 player in the world 3. She beat her a little bit ago. She's 19. She has a lot of room for growth. Clearly a talent to watch. And then there's the lefty thing too. Carson, what do we think? What's the Eala ceiling in your mind?
I mean, the biggest unknown about her is her serve. How much can that improve? I agree with you. It needs to take a different jump as we watch a pretty brutal point right there.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate for Eala. But yeah, if her serve can jump to another level, I think she can absolutely jump into that top 10, top 20 range easily. But as is, I think she can still break into the top 50 with this serve. She's playing really well. She's lefty, which helps her in most matchups. Movement is good. Forehand especially looks like it could be a bit of a weapon.
What's
this
her
is
current,
the first couple.
What's her current ranking?
73, I think.
Yeah.
Or 73, one of those.
Eala's having about a 3-game stretch where she's had a couple of moments where she's playing, mentally like you would expect a teenage prospect. She's like the swinging volley, bad miss there, a couple of easy misses, that you just cannot afford to get away with at this level against Iga. And that kind of stuff, I have no doubt that she's going to clean up. And so even without taking that serve to the next level, she's got game.
Yeah.
She's got 3 break points she's facing right now. Let's see if she can erase those. Brenner, what were we saying?
Yeah, I was gonna say she understands patterns really well. And that's what I'm talking about for Clay. Like that hook, that shape she can get on the forehand is just only a lefty can get that. So that's why I do, as I was talking about with Jake, I just think she has an opportunity to really take advantage of that on Clay.
Yeah. Eli asked a great question, which is, how, at this stage in the match, how tired are the two of them? And of course, they both have world-class caliber fitness. Mm-hmm. But Brenner, I'm curious, how much do you think they're feeling the fatigue on a pretty hot day in Madrid?
Yeah, definitely feeling it. I don't make too much of it. Scorelines, I don't know, obviously a big point, but
yeah. Break point number 3. Eala's fended off 2. Can she do it again? Iga with a huge backhand coming in. And Eala guesses wrong. And Iga has secured the double break. That's a big moment. Mm-hmm. Iga will be serving for the match at 5-1 in the third. Regardless of the outcome, though, Eala can play.
Absolutely.
I mean, she's really, it feels like she is arriving right now.
Yeah, I mean, you play the number 2 player in the world a couple of times. If I tell you you're going to win one of those, you feel great about that if you're in the 70s. So, I mean, that's a really tough match, and there will be some moments, especially in this third set, that I think she will like to have back. Just make a couple of different decisions at certain points. But there's nothing wrong with pushing the second best player in the world to a third set.
Absolutely. 15 love. Iga is 3 points away from advancing to the next round. 2 hours and 4 minutes on the court. I think world-class fitness or no, I don't think either of them is moving as smoothly or as well as they were 2 hours ago. But it doesn't seem like fatigue is a major factor for the two of them today. I think as we get further into the summer and the temperatures start creeping into the high 80s and 90s in Fahrenheit, and then the 30s in Celsius, that'll be harder.
Definitely.
Ozan, absolutely stunning question. I love it.
That is a good question. I mean, you see some aspects. They both have like pretty good movement. Forehand especially is something that could be a big weapon for both of them. So there's definitely, I think, similarities between their games.
That's a huge forehand. I think it seems like Eala has a bit more pop off the ground strokes than Tien, and maybe a little less creativity in the dropper game. We had another question from Ghost. In terms of cultural significance, is Eala and Ons Jabor's type personality? What do we think, guys? Is she going to be a real ambassador for tennis, as she has 2 break points here to potentially get back in this set?
She does seem. I think she could. She does seem a little bit more reserved than Ons Jabeur, which Ons is a very outgoing person, and I mean, her nickname is the Minister of Happiness for a reason. So, but I mean, y'all are coming from the Philippines. I don't think I can name another professional tennis player active from the Philippines right now. So, absolutely, she could be a massive gateway to the sport for a lot of people there.
Yeah. Big serve from Iga there. 30-40. Eala has another break point.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely hard to compare anyone with Ons, but even the 19-year-old from the Philippines. But she has a country on her back, so totally.
And here comes the next break point opportunity. Iga serving into the body. Takes Eala out wide, coming forward, and closes with a big forehand approach. Take us to deuce. Lexi wants to know if we find Eala fun to watch. And I'll just go first. Yes, very, very much so. I think because not only does she have a fun play style, I think while her serve is a bit of a liability for her right now, it means that every game is close. Like there have been very few easy holds. And so, every game you feel the intensity, the pressure, and I find it to be a very, very enjoyable style to watch. What do you guys think?
I agree with you. She is fun to watch. She reads the game well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's hopefully what they're teaching at the Rafa Academy. I mean, I love like tactics.
Yeah,
she does a great job of utilizing them and plays with so much emotion. And she like tries things out on the court, or at least, I mean, I've only watched her like 6-7 times, so just cool.
I think that's more than median tennis fan. Second serve from Iga. Let's see if Eala can capitalize. Oh, big forehand. Yeah, like that's a huge lefty forehand. And she took it from 6 feet inside the baseline. That's awesome. And look, hey, she got another break opportunity here. She is. A couple of folks have posted in the chat that Eala is showing real grit and determination, and I totally agree. I mean, she's 19 years old, and she is not giving up for a second against the number 2 player in the world here. It's awesome. And they have another second serve. Eala continuing to stand in. taking it crazy early on the serves.
She gets it.
Third time is the charm.
Okay. Hey, and if you got a 12 o'clock, if you're on the East Coast, cancel it. We might have some more tennis ahead of us.
Gets one of the breaks back.
I think. Good.
That's just a little bit of a loose game. So, who knows? Nerves never go away when you're a tennis player and trying to close out a match. So,
It's so true. I know for me on the courts, like just weird conversations start happening. You know, if you're up, there's that voice of like, I have to keep it going, but also, oh, don't blow it, you know. And they kind of compete sometimes in your head. Ozon asks if I'm sad that Skype is shutting down. You know, I, like most people, am just blown away how badly Skype fumbled. I mean, in the pandemic, we all knew going in what Skype was, and that should have been like the thing. And Zoom just came in from left field and grabbed the mantle for those platforms. And, you know, Google Hangouts kind of floating around. I think Skype probably was and is a better platform, but I can't say I'm sad that it's shutting down because Zoom is fine, and so is Google Hangout. Are y'all Skype enthusiasts, or were you Skype enthusiasts?
not particularly. Like, I don't know. All of them pretty much offer the same thing. There's nothing about it that made it extraordinary.
Yeah. Okay. Eala serving at 5-2 or 2-5. Trying to get back in this set after the break. Iga perhaps feeling some nerves. Sure didn't look like it on that point, though. Sheesh. That serve, for those of you who haven't seen, 123 kilometers an hour. Room for growth. Woo! Big forehand there from Eala to make it 15.
Cheers, Jake. Thanks for tuning in.
See you later, Jake.
Later, Jake.
Huge forehand. Come on now.
She thumped it. And Iga now has an opportunity here, 15-30.
Yeah, I mean, this is me being intricate, but you could see like she timed that serve perfectly.
Yeah.
Wanted to go back in, inside out. Waited just a half second. It was well done.
Eala missed on that first serve there, but I liked what she was trying to do to take Iga real wide. Oh, and she almost missed on the second one, but just caught the line. Textbook put away at the net on the approach.
That's one of her better points at the net in this match. It's been a little bit rocky when she's gone up there.
It has, and some of the approaches have been a little, you know, especially in set 3, just a touch sloppy.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's great that she's at least experimenting at this point.
Yeah,
I don't mind the net rush there. Hasn't done that like really at all, but Iga saw it pretty early.
I love the aggressiveness of the choice. You know, she's forcing the action. She's not playing scared, and you know,
right.
A lot of respect for that as well.
Totally.
And we have a match point. And Iga sprays it. Eala has fended off match point number 1.
That's important.
That's when the voices really start to go for me. When you blow a match point, because then there's the question of like, oh well, I really don't want to lose now. And the pressure, and then now Iga doesn't feel the same voices that I feel in the court, clearly, as she just rips a forehand there up for a winner.
Yeah, she's starting to time the serve really well.
Yeah.
Starting to.
I mean, you play,
I mean, it's
you play 5 sets against someone, you're going to start to read it eventually.
Oh, Carson, that's a good comment, man. All right, well, cheers, guys. I mean,
And there it goes. What a match. Okay. Hey, look, Eala, I think a lot of the listeners and viewers were rooting for, and ultimately, while she didn't get it done, she's clearly a talent. We're going to see a lot of her for the next, I don't know, 15 years or so. And Iga maybe getting back on track here in a season that has been somewhat disappointing, but she's now entering her season within the season, the clay period.
Yeah, that was really good mental toughness from her, I think. Second part of that second set and the third set.
Yeah.
Just to stay calm. I think you could just see some of the experience that she has coming through a little bit. And yeah, I mean, this part of the drive, it's opened up a little bit. She'll play Linda Noskova next, but Ostapenko lost, so
yep,
no horrible head-to-head to go up against.
Did Ostapenko lose?
She did.
Wow.
Sevastova won 7-6, 6-2.
That's crazy. I mean, yeah, that's the clay season in a nutshell. But yeah, I mean, look, probably got more tennis and more headlines than I thought we were going to get out of this match. And I mean, hey, it's good for the game, and it's great for the Philippines, and just continuing to put out great efforts. So you just have to tip your cap to Alex Eala. Had her on the ropes again. She had chances, but I think Iga was able to meet the moment a bit better, and a couple points for the difference there. So, hey, fun match.
And
appreciate you guys doing it.
Thanks so much to the Talking Tennis community. It made this the most watched match in the history of Talking Tennis for now. Although that number will just keep going up and up and up because of the active folks in the chat and the listeners. And so, really cool. Always a pleasure to call a match with y'all. Any closing thoughts or any matches to watch before we wrap up? And certainly before we get into the last thing for me, before we get into that is, hey, if you're still here and you haven't subscribed, why not? Just do it already. You're going to be back. Make it easy on yourself. Click the button on YouTube. Hit subscribe. You see it says that on the screen. And with that, Brenner, any matches that you're looking forward to today or tomorrow?
It's getting pretty late in the day. I was going to pose a question to you guys.
Okay.
Iga got through the battle. Does she go on and defend her title in Madrid?
Ooh. No. I want to say yes. I'm a big, as a proud Polish American, I want to root for someone from the home country. And her level has just been too inconsistent, I think, to get it done over the course of a 1,000. I hope to be wrong. I hope that she finds that consistency that she's going to need. But I just don't have confidence in her game right now. And candidly, it doesn't look like she has confidence in her game a decent chunk of the time, too. Carson, what do you think?
Hopefully this win can be the start of her finding a little bit of form. Just getting some more reps in on the clay. In our tournament preview show, I picked Sabalenka to win the tournament, and not sure anything about this match is going to change my mind right now. As you mentioned, it looks like she has some struggles with confidence in her own game at the moment. So, yeah, I mean, something that she will need to continue to work through. And, there's a ton of pressure. She's the defending titleist here. And lots of points to defend over the next couple of months. So,
I was trying to plug a couple matches on the men's side that I really am excited for this afternoon. Tien Garone, of course. Anytime Tien's on, I like to watch. Opelka Hijikata, just completely conflicting and contrasting styles.
Right.
And then also kind of a fun fact: Rinky Hijikata, his partner is from the same town in North Carolina as I am, and so every now and then I've had the chance to from afar watch him hit on some courts in
cool
Apple Hill.
Cool.
So big fan of his. always has been a stand-up guy and really well liked by everybody in my local tennis community. And then, of course, you know, the player of the year potentially, João Fonseca, going to be on court Manolo Santana later today. And, you know, if you can watch João Fonseca, make it happen.
Unreal. Love it. All right. Well, thank you guys. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll be seeing you soon.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Let's see.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.